questions on your mind. Questions like, when is a car no longer a car? Well, the answer for that is simple. When it turns into a driveway. Or perhaps your questions were a little more scientific, like, what kind of car does Yoda drive? A Toyota, obviously. All jokes aside, there are some odd questions out there that do need to be answered. Why do we drive on parkways and park on driveways here? My sudden interest in car plans has come from the past 2 years as my parents have been teaching me how to drive a car. In Dave Barry's book, Live Right and Find Happiness, we meet at the intersection of driving and parenting. Barry explains through humorous sarcasm parents' feelings about wanting to keep their children safe on the roads of uncontrollable circumstances. Even though he writes through his home state of Florida, I urge you to insert the name of your home state, as these are driving experiences we can all relate to. Live Right and Find Happiness by Dave Barry. My dear Sophie, so you're about to start driving. How exciting. My apologies. I'm flashing back to when your big brother Rob started driving. You and I, we both love Rob very much, and he has matured into a thoughtful and responsible person. But when he turned 16 and got his driver's license, he had the marked tendency to, there's really no diplomatic way to say this, drive into things. This was never Rob's fault. I know this because whenever he drove into something, which was every few days, he would call me and the conversation would go like this. Hello, Dad, it wasn't my fault. Usually what he had driven into through no fault of his own was the backside of another car. Cars were always stopping unexpectedly in front of Rob for no reason whatsoever. Unless, of course, we cannot rule it out. These cars were materializing from hyperspace directly in front of Rob, leaving him with no option but to run into the back of them. Whatever the cost of stuff happened when he got older, him more mature, started paying for his own insurance. My point is that just because the state of Florida thinks you can drive a car, that doesn't mean you actually can drive a car. As far as I can tell, after 30 years on the streets of South Florida, there isn't anyone the Florida Department of Motor Vehicles doesn't think can drive a car. I cannot imagine what you would have to do to fail the driving test here. Okay, take a left turn here. Does that mean I failed the test? Nah, she's getting back up. You just clipped her. I was exaggerating that as a driver here, Sophie, but I am not. Florida also doesn't seem to have any problem issuing licenses to drivers who are very elderly. I once had an eye exam during which the ophthalmologist was telling me about some of his older patients who, according to him, were basically blind. He said, I asked them, how do you get here? And they tell me they drove. And then I said, you can't drive. You can't see. To which they said, well, how am I supposed to get home? And then I said, I don't know, but you can't drive. You can't see. And then they drive home. I believe them. I once had a short but terrifying ride in the streets of South Florida in the backseat of a car driven by an elderly man. He was a perfectly nice person, but had about the same level of visual acuity as a corn dog. And so he outsourced the actual seeing part of driving to his wife, who sat in the passenger seat and did her best to keep him posted on the mysterious region beyond the windshield. Huh? You have a green arrow! Go! Go! No way! No way! Stop! 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 I believe the seeing eye-wife arrangement is not all that uncommon amongst elderly couples in the streets of South Florida. So to summarize, Sophie, many people who lack the physical skills and or judgment needed to capably microwave a burrito are deemed qualified by the state of Florida to operate a motor vehicle. When you get out on the roads, you will be surrounded by terrible drivers. And guess what, Sophie? You will be one of them. And this is not because you are careless or irresponsible, but because you are a teenager. And it is a physiological fact that at your stage of brain development, you are, well, to use the term preferred by researchers in the field of neurological science, stupid. This is not your fault. All humans start out stupid and gradually get smarter as they go along. But Dad, didn't you drive when you were a teenage male? Ha ha, I did. I got my New York State driver's license in 1963 at age 16, and I spent many hours cruising the highways and the byways, and occasionally the lawns, and the streets of our love New York, but that was different, so I drove safely. I do not mean safely in the sense of carefully. I was definitely your standard teenage male idiot. I was a safe idiot because I was driving the safest vehicle ever made. My mother's 1961 Plymouth Valiant station wagon. The Valiant did not have modern safety features such as seatbelts, anti-lock brakes, airbags, or computerized collision avoidance systems. What the Valiant had, which was better than any of these, was inertia. I would stomp violently down on the accelerator and nothing would happen for 7 motorcycles. And this was because the Valiant was no more capable of acceleration than a fire hydrant. This was the only car ever manufactured that traveled faster on the assembly line than it did under its own power. Oh, you couldn't hit anything with a Valiant. Fully mature trees moved quickly enough to get out of its way, so it couldn't do any real damage. Even left me at the wheel. If I were in charge, today's teenagers would be permitted to drive only if they drove Plymouth Valiant station wagons. Unfortunately, Sophie, I am not in charge. And so you will be on the roads teeming with high-speed, modern technology operated by incompetent idiots. To prove that you're qualified to do this, the state of Florida will make you take a test based on the information found in the official Florida Driver's Handbook. The test will ask you questions like, identify the standard speed in business or residential areas. The correct answer, the one you should mark down on your test, is 30 miles per hour. But listen to me carefully, Sophie. If you're driving in a Miami and do not wish to be the target of some small arm fire, do not go the standard speed of 30 miles per hour. Miami drivers go faster than that in a car wash. The test will tell you that if you're approaching a yellow light, you should attempt to stop. However, doing so would only cause your car to be instantly converted into a large sheet metal origami sculpture by the 17 cars immediately behind it. My point, Sophie, is that there is a major difference between how the state of Florida thinks you should drive a car and how actual humans drive a car in the state of Florida. So to better prepare you, I will be giving you this reality-based Florida drivers Q&A. If you come to the stop sign at the same time as another motorist, who goes first? I do. But what if there is no what if you go first? And if I come to a stop sign, do I need to stop? You personally? No. Florida law strictly prohibits texting while driving. Does this law apply to you? Of course not. What is the best kind of food to eat while driving? Any food such as oyster, ding dong, sandwich, or turkey leg that can be easily eaten with one hand. So you still have a hand free for texting. What if an emergency situation arises and you need to use your steering wheel? Just use your head to honk the horn until the emergency situation has passed. What is the turn signal used for in Florida? The turn signal is used to signal to other motorists that you do not realize your turn signal is on. Turn signal be used to signal your intent to turn or change lanes? Interesting. No one's ever tried that. You may think your old man was just kidding you, Sophie. I am not. This reality-based Florida Driver's Q&A reflects the actual situation on the streets of Florida far better than the Florida Driver's Handbook. But I didn't write it to make you nervous about driving here. I wrote it to make you terrified about driving here. Because I love you very much, and I don't want anything bad to happen to you. I'm going to keep instructing you until the day that you are really ready to drive. And when that day comes, until you turn 16 and get your license, I will be right there beside the car, giving you last-minute instructions. And as you pull away, solo at last, you will feel as if I'm right there beside you, guiding you. In fact, I will be right there beside you, walking at a leisurely pace along your 1961 Plymouth Valiant.